Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, the lockout's still in place. There's still going to be no baseball, and they've started to cancel regular season games, which I never thought they would get into. But we will be able to talk some baseball because this episode, I'm going to bring on John Brophy from Pinstriped Prospects, who covers the Tampa Tarpons. But before that, here's some news. So the lockout's still going on. Now, what happened was there was a deadline. It was supposed to be on February 28th, where Major League Baseball, the owners, and the Major League Baseball Players Union were supposed to come together on an agreement. They weren't able to do so, but they at least extended it to one more day, so then it became March 1st at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and still both sides couldn't come to an agreement. Now, supposedly there was a last-ditch effort by the owners. They kind of gave the players a lot of stuff they've been asking for a while, like the last minute to show, hey, look, we tried something, but still wasn't enough for the Players Union. They didn't accept the deal, so baseball, again, officially locked out. And because of that, Commissioner Rob Manfred had officially canceled the first two series of the season for all teams. Now, in terms of the Yankees, what that means is they were originally going to open up in Texas with games in both Arlington with the Rangers as well as in Houston. Well, now that's off the plate. So really the only silver lining with that is that now, again, unless more games get canceled, opening day for the Yankees is going to be at home hosting the Red Sox. So that's the only silver lining for that. But now, again, we have a situation where there's going to be less than 162 games. And again, maybe towards the end of September or early October, you're going to want those games to get into a playoff situation. So that may end up burning the Yankees. And it seems as right now both sides are pretty far apart on coming together. So we might even lose more baseball. So stay tuned. And another kind of surprise there with Derek Jeter, of course, has now been the CEO of the Marlins for the past couple of seasons. Well, he and the Marlins organization have parted ways officially. Kind of weird situation, but supposedly Jeter just wasn't happy with the direction of the team. Not really sure what it was specifically, but the Marlins are used to just being terrible every season, and Jeter's like, hey, I'm the Yankees. I'm used to winning championships, and I'm doing good stuff. And the Marlins like, hey, what are you doing? Let's just be, we usually stink, and Jeter's just not used to stinking. So he probably just got upset and said, hey, I'm out of here. So we don't know what Jeter's up to next, and now people speculate he's going to kind of get involved with the Yankees again. Hey, if Cashman gets kicked out the door at the end of this season, was that an opportunity for Jeter to come in and be the GM? Don't see any of that happen, and usually it's a recipe for disaster when players like that come back to their team. I'm just thinking about Magic Johnson coming back and coaching the Lakers, and it never works out like that. So yeah, so as much as we like Jeter, it's a better way to stay away from the Yankees in that regard. Don't get in the front office because then things get dirty and they get tarnished, and then people bring that to your playing years, and it's just a bad mix and a bad recipe. And Jeter has a boatload of money; he'll do something amazing after this, so he'll be fine. He's rich. But coming back to the Yankees is going to be a familiar face, Hensley Mullins. Now, you may remember in the early 90s, it was kind of the hot Yankee prospect. Never really panned out and went to Japan a little bit, has some success there, and has come back to the States and been a coach for teams like the Giants and the Mets. So now he joins the Yankees as an assisting hitting coach. And again, I'm sure we all had that baseball card of Hensley Mullins, rookie, from like 91, 92, and they thought he was going to be the next big thing. It seems like kind of Bernie Williams kind of beat him out there. So, and again, Hensley never really flourished as a major league player here, but again, he's coming back as a coach, and it's just good to have him back in the Yankee family. And look good. If he couldn't contribute a championship as a player, at least maybe he can help us out get a championship as a coach. So things are pretty grim on the major league level, but there is baseball activity in the minors, and that brings us to the guest of this episode, Josh Brophy. He covers the Tampa Tarpons for PinstripeProspects.com, on the field as a photographer and reporter, and he's going to let us know what's going on down in Florida. Hey, John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'd like to speak with you. Obviously, as we all know, the majors are still dealing with the lockout. But of course, we do have some minor league action, so I appreciate you coming on. Now, people can follow you on Twitter, J Brophy Baseball, and actually check out some of your articles on Pinstripe Prospects. Is also on Twitter at Pinstripe Pros, and of course the website PinstripeProspects.com. And I just saw some of your tweets, just with some great pictures and videos you were able to take. So you're actually, are you able actually to get on the field, to do this reporting?
I mean, it's not so much on the field, but they have a fence with a little gate that they have opened up that they allow media to access, so I can get good comps from what I've seen last year with some of the guys.
All right, cool. And so how many trips have you made to the minor league complex so far this season?
I would say it's probably close to about half a dozen. It was the first one that I've made in a little while. But I'm usually going about 2 days a week just to see, different things. And yesterday I was fortunate enough to see some of the intra squad stuff that they have going on.
And how are like the minor league camps structured? Like, does each level, like A, double A, triple A, have like their own field, or they just kind of all mix them together right now and worry about the rest later?
Yeah, so right now, because it's still considered the mini camp, I guess real camp doesn't start for another week or so. Um, right now, it's just they have different fields do different things. So they have like a base running field, and like they have a pitcher's field where they kind of do like a catch and toss kind of thing. And then field one and field two are where most of the activities happen as far as what the media are concerned. And that's where they hold things like batting practice. They do some sim games on field two. And then on field one is where they were holding the intra squad game.
Now, the site you work with, and you're a writer and again a photographer, is Pinstriped Prospects. Is probably the most in-depth site for Yankee minor league baseball information. So, just give a little background about it, just in terms of what about the team you guys have and like the work that you guys had to put into it.
Yeah, so we have a really good team of writers and photographers and just a whole bunch of creative people that we grind a lot as far as covering all the different levels. You have myself in Tampa covers complex league and low A. Um, you have Hugh McKenna is going to cover a high A Hudson Valley. Matt Cardos is going to cover double A Somerset with Eli Fishman doing a little bit when he's not in school. And then Alex Keeler is going to cover triple A Scranton. And then our founder, Rob Pimpsner, is, he's been doing this for as long as I can remember. And I've been following the Tampa Tarpons and Tampa Yankees for about a decade now. So really good group of people. If you're a Yankee fan and you need your baseball fix, we're definitely a website to follow during the lockout. And even out of the lockout, there's a really good future with the minor league right now as far as the Yankees are concerned. And it's very exciting to see these guys do what they can, do what they love, and climb through the ranks.
And so let's just go get into you a little bit. I saw that you actually come from you born in Connecticut or came from Connecticut, so that's kind of like the DMZ zone between Red Sox and Yankee fans. But did you grow up a Yankee fan?
Yeah, I grew up in Southern Connecticut, near the Bridgeport area. So I grew up a Yankee fan. That's kind of the Yankees Mets kind of area where you live on one side, you're a Yankee fan. You live on another side, you're a Mets fan, kind of thing. But yeah, there's not a lot of Red Sox in my blood at all. But my grandfather was a Red Sox fan, but my dad's a Yankee fan. So I went to my first Yankee game, 1998, old stadium, upper deck, third baseline. I'll never forget that kind of thing.
Oh, I might have been there that night. Who knows? So, now I guess you're based out of Florida, so I guess that's convenient for you now to cover the Tampa team. And just in terms of yourself, I saw another interesting tweet you had that you said you only been to really a small handful of major league games, and most of them were at the Tropicana. So, any particular reason for that, or it's just the fact that obviously the Yankees are only down there to play Tampa, so why else go to a ball game?
Yeah, I only went to a couple games when I lived up north. I went to, I think, two Yankee games, and I went to a Mets game at Shea Stadium. And then down here, I just went to Tropicana, but the Trop is a little too hard to get to. I don't mind the stadium so much. I think it's a decent stadium for what it is, especially given the fact that it's a dome and air conditioning in the Florida summer is definitely appreciated. Um, but it's difficult to get to with the way the traffic is and the way that the stadium is situated. But yeah, I went to Derek Jeter's last game in Florida. Was probably the most memorable game that I've had at the Trop.
So, how did you actually get started with the Pinstripe Prospects team?
So I reached out to Rob last May saying, hey, I noticed that you don't have any coverage in Tampa. I have some photos if you'd like to use them, because photography is kind of more my thing than what writing is. And he said, yeah, we could use a Tampa guy cover the Tarpons. And I told him, I'll be happy to offer photos. And he said, well, writing is kind of a component to it. So I just kind of went from there, and, just the writing took off and in a different way than I really expected it to.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for other people just looking to break into the business. A lot of times, just knock on the door, just like in your situation, just offer something. Or sometimes you see, some of these sites and groups, looking for people, And again, all you have to do is email and touch base, and again, it puts you in a very good position.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely am glad that I did that because this has given me more opportunities than I could have ever dreamed of.
And what is about minor league baseball? Like I see the amount of traveling you do for that, and you got to have a passion for it just beyond it's like kind of your job in a way. But why you seem to gravitate more towards minor league baseball than the majors?
Because minor league baseball is a little bit more approachable in an aspect than Major League Baseball because, and I don't really want to put it this way, but Major League Baseball they kind of seem to have egos already established, and minor league baseball they seem like they're the guys that you can kind of have a beer at the bar, kind of an attitude. Um, and minor league baseball overall is a little bit more relaxed than Major League Baseball is. It's especially in Tampa we have a smaller crowd. If we get 1,000, that's a lot of people. So for an introvert like me, that's kind of a plus in itself. But I like just spreading the word that these guys are doing, especially since there's not a lot of video and like TV and radio coverage in Tampa. So putting them out there, helping them promote themselves is one of the best things of what I do.
So you're down a little bit. Obviously, the minor league players are kind of doing their thing. Yeah, I read one of your recent articles, and again, really the lockout doesn't really affect most of them except maybe the AAA players in terms of the 40-man roster. But what's like the mood down there? Are they just not even thinking about the major league lockout, or are they just happy to be playing baseball again?
Yeah, when the media held or the Yankees held an interview session for the media last week, there was a couple of reporters were asking about the lockout, and they said we're not really interested in it because we got enough to worry about with camp and with spring training. So it's not really on their mind, it seems. And from what I've seen with them and just a little bit of interaction that I've had with some of them, it's just they're just carrying on their thing like it's any other day.
The big name down there, Jason Dominguez, everyone's going crazy over. I mean, is he projected to start with the Tampa Tarpons this season, or maybe play some higher?
I would think he would start with the Tarpons. He's faced some a little bit higher level pitching. Like yesterday, he faced a high A pitcher, and he did okay, but he's not the Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle kind of comp that people have given him just yet. His tools look a little bit too raw for him to move high A, double A, I think.
Yeah, and I read some scouting on him saying like obviously potential with the hitting, of course, but in terms of fielding and arm strength, average at best, nothing to really that jumps off the page. Is that correct?
Yeah, his feeling he made a couple of really good plays yesterday. Really diving for the ball kind of thing. So his feeling, I think, is there. The fact that he shrunk down a little bit, he lost a little bit of muscle in the offseason, I think, is really going to pay dividends for him. But his hitting still has a lot of room to grow. But the fact that it does have room to grow and the potential is there is exciting.
And what is also exciting, again, a switch hitter, center field. Obviously, the Yankees have a history of those with Mickey Mantle, with Bernie Williams. So I'm not going to put him up there yet. But as a switch hitter, is there maybe one side he's a little better at than the other?
Yeah, he was saying last week during the interviews that he started batting switch when he was 8. So he's had a good amount of years as far as his life is concerned to work on switch hitting, but he does tend to favor the lefty side given there's so many righty pitchers. And he does look a little bit more polished on the lefty side than he does on the righty side, but he can drive the ball no matter what on what side of the plate.
And just for you personally, is there any plays in particular that you're excited about the seeing this season? Just maybe seeing them take a next step, or just someone you've read about and you really want to see them on the field, how they look?
There's a couple of guys that I'm really excited to see. There was one that I've seen so far as a pitcher. Um, I'm trying to think of his name right now, but I'll get to the hitter that I'm excited to see is Anthony Garcia. He's 6'5". He's an outfield first baseman kind of guy. He has insane power. My first sighting of him was in the complex league. He hit a 450-ish 500-foot home run, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
As an opposite, like an apple taco kind of home run, opposite field home run. So his power is totally there, but he has to work on the hitting aspect, getting the ball like a bloop single kind of thing. Um, and then the pitcher that I was thinking of was Mitch Spence. I didn't get to see him with the way that the minors were redone for 2021, but he's definitely impressed me the little bit that I've seen him so far in camp.
All right. And are there any other general players outside of obviously everyone focused on Jason Dominguez or Anthony Volpe that again Yankee fans would be excited about if they knew a little bit more about him?
Yeah, definitely those two guys that I mentioned. Austin Wells is another name that a lot of fans are excited for. The the question is whether he sticks behind the plate. The Yankees are adamant that he's going to stay behind the plate, but I don't really think that's going to happen. I think he becomes a first baseman with the arm that he has. Um, I mean, there's so many guys in the system that it's hard to name a few of them. Unless you were to narrow down, like an all-star team kind of thing, which I think would almost be kind of fun to do in a way.
And are there any prospects that you almost feel sorry for because maybe they just have injuries or just they've had setbacks and they seem they can't really grow? I mean, is there someone like in mind that you could think of?
TJ Sycamore was supposed to throw yesterday. I hadn't seen him last year because he was out with a torn labrum. I didn't get to see him yesterday. I didn't notice when he threw. I saw Zach Cohn yesterday. He was injured. Um, there's a Connor Cannon I'm waiting to see. I haven't seen him yet. So there's a bunch of guys that have had injuries that I'm excited to see them, see what they do in the next year or so.
Gotcha. And just from the years just following the team, is there someone that made it up to the major league level recently that, oh yeah, I remember that guy, and you were not surprised that he was able to make the majors?
Chris Gittens was he was one that I was excited to see make the majors. I'm a little disappointed to see him go to Japan, but I'm excited in that aspect that he gets a different opportunity. And I saw him start in Tampa and then work his way up to the majors. And then I've seen guys like Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, all those kind of guys make the way from Tampa all the way up to the majors.
All right, and just of all those guys, I mean, probably most Yankee fans are head scratch over Gary Sanchez. It seems like he always has the power, but what happened with, in your opinion, like when he came up 2016, 2017, he was gangbusters, he looked great, and then his past few seasons, like he's barely a 200 hitter. Is there anything in your mind that's like what you think what's wrong with him?
No, I mean, even when he was in Tampa, I was talking with a colleague yesterday about this. When he was in Tampa, he didn't really impress me too much. It was more Aaron Judge that was the one that was blowing me away. Um, because the conversation at the time, like you were saying, was Gary's going to be the guy that's going to be, he's going to revolutionize the Yankees in a way. It was kind of the way that he was built, almost like Jason Dominguez is now. And Aaron Judge was, he's a prospect. He'll get there, and he'll maybe be the everyday outfielder kind of guy. But I think when I saw the two of them in Tampa, it was really the other way around. And Higgy, in a way, was more and still is a little bit more impressive, given that he's kind of the quiet, not the everyday guy. So, it's interesting how things work out when they start out in the minors, especially at a lower level like what we have in Tampa, and then to see the way that they change and progress as they move up to the majors.
And and also other Yankees that are up here and need a good bounce back season. Luis Severino. Other than Luis Severino, though, you don't see a ton of Yankee like starting pitchers really coming up through the system being successful. I mean, any particular reason why you think that is?
I think it was the draft classes that they've had previously to, I want to say 2016, were a little rough. But at the same time, you look at like Michael King, Luis Heel, um, those kind of guys. The more recent draft classes are exciting to see the pitching. And at the same token, the pitching that we have right now in the system is exciting. So like I was mentioning before, Mitch Spence, you have Ron Marinaccio, Hayden Wesneski, um, a lot of really exciting pitching to look forward to.
So the season starts, I think, April 8th, and I think the first home game is April 12th, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so for the Tarpons, they start on the road in Lakeland facing the Detroit Tigers low A affiliate, and then on the 12th they face Dunedin, which is the Toronto low A affiliate.
And how long typically does the season go to, like September?
Yeah, the last game that I saw was September 14th, and that ended up being a playoff game because the Tarpons won their division last year. So I would say early September is when the regular season ends, if all things stay the same. Um, and then I don't know how long the playoffs are scheduled to go because that's TBD, I guess.
And this is the way that the minor leagues are set up. Like you mentioned before, high A and low A. Like how many like divisions and like segments of there of the minor league system?
So it starts in the Dominican Summer League. Then from there, they move up to the Florida Complex League, which is considered rookie level. And that's where like the 2021 draftees made their pro debut. It was in the Florida Complex League, and that's held in the same place that I see camp right now. Then low A Tampa is in Steinbrenner Field, which is what you see behind me. Then it moves up to high A Hudson Valley, double A Somerset, triple A Scranton, and then from there they go on to Yankee Stadium.
You yourself, do you have any like goals? Like, obviously you're doing your thing right now, but do you have any maybe plans or goals that you want to achieve this, covering minor league teams, or maybe one day start covering major league teams?
Yeah, I mean, everything's kind of been coming at me pretty quickly in the past year. So I haven't really decided as far as goals. I think eventually I'd like to have maybe some sort of major league coverage. But really my passion is for photography. So I don't know if, that's another avenue that I can pursue going into the photography of a major league team. Um, I have a couple of friends that photograph different teams, the Phillies, and another one used to photograph the Rays, and that was with the Dallas Stars. So try to get the networking done is, I think, a huge benefit to getting to where you want to be.
All right. And is there like maybe a favorite moment or a favorite photograph you've ever taken where it's just, like that's my number one, or that's my favorite interview, or that's my favorite, time just doing this, covering the team?
So for the 2021 season, I think my favorite photograph was getting Jason Dominguez running the bases on his first professional home run. Because that was a very exciting moment. There was a lot of hype, of course, surrounding him, seeing as how he went to the All-Star Futures game without even recording a first hit. So seeing his first professional home run, getting him running the bases was definitely a favorite.
All right. And if any of your like works been like used by other media outlets, just, again, like a home run of Jason Dominguez or something of that nature?
When Luis Severino was down in Tampa on rehab, some of my video was put on MLB Network. Um, so that was probably the highlight of my career so far. And then some of my photos, I'm told, are going to be used in the Somerset Patriots yearbook for this upcoming season.
So now you're also involved with another site called Prospect Live, which people again can follow on Twitter at Prospects Live. Can you just briefly describe like what that site and what that is all about, and what you actually contribute with that?
I'm going to start to do a little bit of scouting with them, and then that's going to let me branch out into covering different teams. So around here, I plan on covering Dunedin, which again is the Blue Jays, low A affiliate, and Clearwater, which is the Phillies affiliate. I may branch out into Bradenton and Lakeland, depending on what those kind of drives are. But the advantage I see as far as Yankee fans are concerned is the potential trades. Because yesterday I saw TJ Rumfield for the first time, who was acquired from the Phillies in a trade for Donnie Stands and Nick Nelson at their Rule 5 trade deadline. And we didn't have anything of him. I knew nothing of him, even though he was in Clearwater. I hadn't really paid attention too much to him. So just seeing the different prospects that are out there and getting to know them a little bit, I think may help kind of everyone in the future.
Are the players now more approachable on the field, or is it all like Zoom and like keep your distance?
Because Tampa is run by the Yankees, they adhere to MLB rules. So things last year were really tight. Um, Players were accessible as far as getting autographs in a limited way as far as fans were concerned. But as far as I'm concerned, all my communication was done digitally or remote. So any interviews that I would do would be over the phone, and then I would speak to some of them privately away from the field. But that was really the only way that I could interact with the players. Unfortunately, hopefully 2022 makes things a little bit more open. Given that, especially now, the CDC has released some of the masking protocols. But I don't know. I know the Yankees kind of stick to whatever New York has going on as far as masking protocols and that kind of thing. So um, I'm just optimistic. I'm just hoping that the Yankees go to more what the Hudson Valley Renegades are doing, where you can get on field access with a mask on, which is fine by me if it means I get on field access and I can talk to the players. But still no clubhouse access, which I mean, it is what it is. As long as I can talk to the players and get interviews done, that's all I really care about. A lot of the players are pretty friendly with me. I've built good rapport with a lot of the players. So even if I were to stick a microphone in their face after a game, they understand, I'm doing my job. They did their job. It is what it is. Not everybody's going to have a good day.
I read an article maybe recently that are the minor league players right now, because of the lockout, not exactly being paid, and it's more that they're just allowed to use the facilities, but they're not actually getting a paycheck.
I've read about that too. I haven't spoken to a lot of them because, as far as I'm concerned, that's really none of my business. I don't tell other people what I make, kind of thing, so I don't really know if that's true. From what I do understand, the Yankees do take care of their players pretty well. I don't know as far as compensation goes, but I know as like living accommodations, even before the announcement was made that, the living accommodations weren't as great. By other teams, the Yankees were taking care of their guys pretty well in Tampa.
Yeah, I would say you have to, because it's kind of like Jason Dominguez being like an Uber driver or delivering pizza or something,
Yeah, I mean, I could see him doing that, just because of the work ethic that he has. But yeah, I don't. I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool to jump in an Uber with Jason, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind getting a pizza from him, getting back to the lockout. What's your personal opinion? Obviously, they're feeling that a lot of these younger players, like making relatively nothing compared, or you have something like an Aaron Judge, he's a superstar player, but he's getting relative peanuts to what he should be getting. So, what's your whole opinion on what the players are fighting for, what the owners are holding back, and will we see an end to it? Maybe.
I'm on the side of the players. I think the owners are being cheap. And especially given what I know that the players make from what I've read. I mean, I don't know personally of what the players make, like I said, but from what I've read, I mean, like you said, they do make peanuts. At this level, I think they're lucky if they make $13,000 a year. And that's only when the season starts, from what I've read. So let's say April to September, they're making 12 grand. I don't, I mean, I get both sides. I get where both sides are coming from. We have to pay for it on the owner side, and then the players are fighting for the little guys. So, I respect that, but I don't think that there's going to be much of an agreeable end to it anytime soon. I kind of almost foresee that the lockout is going to extend through Memorial Day, as far as when the beginning of games start, if that, just because of the fighting that's been going on between the two of them.
Gotcha. Well, John, I appreciate having you on, giving some insight, about minor league baseball, the structure, and again, people can follow you on Twitter and check out your cool photos and videos you take. Again, J Brophy Baseball on Twitter, and of course, check out the website pinstripeprospects.com. You get great coverage on all the Yankee minor league baseball teams. Appreciate you getting on. Now, I'm putting you personally in charge. You got to give us some superstars, so you're in charge. Okay.
All righty.